So guys, before we get into the servo upgrade of the XMaxx Bigfoot, I just want to show you my little stampede. I built this thing probably 4 or 5 years ago. It was just a little brush stampede, rear wheel drive, but the cool part about it is completely licensed body by Ford and Bigfoot. Kind of went stupid on it. 3S Millennium brushless, energy control arms, low CLMT wheels. This thing, it's impossible to drive, but it sure does look cool. All right, guys. So some of you guys know one of my biggest concerns about the new XMaxx Bigfoot was the steering servo. They came out with the new 2085 XL, which seems okay, and it ran good on the pavement. It ran really good on the asphalt. It did pretty good on the dirt, but once it got into tall grass, that was not getting it. So what we're going to do today, we're going to tear this thing apart. We're going to put this Keith Fulcrum servo in there, and the specs on this thing are insane. At 6 volts, 55 kilograms. Speed at 6 volts, 0.1 of a second, 60 degrees. That is fast. So we're going to slap this servo in. We're going to see what type of improvement we can make. All right, guys, so first you're going to do, obviously, is going to be take your body off and take your batteries out. I've already got them disconnected. And don't go far with your batteries, so these things are going to come in handy in a little bit. By handy, you're going to need them to turn everything back on and recenter the servo. Because on an XMaxx, servo is directly under the radio box. So the first thing you're going to do, I'm going to grab the little pimp hand here, 2 little 2.5s, right where the waterproof cover is. So the first thing we're going to do, dig these out. All right, and your best friend in the whole wide world, Harbor Freight magnetic pan. I take out these square-headed 2.5s right here. Four more 2.5s on each side. These are your longer ones, guys, so have your needle nose handy. All right, so that's pretty much done for the top. Now once she's on her belly, you got 8 spine screws going on the center. That's going to be your dry shaft cover. These things are a little fiddly. Just grab them by the front where these 2 pieces come together, give her a yank. Boom, there is your dry shaft cover. You don't really have to take this one out, but I like to anyway, just because it gives me a little bit more sight on what I'm doing. Okay, everything's there. All right, now it's ready to separate already. Flip her back, grab your 2 mil, and you're going to detach your actual servo arm from your steering rack, which I'm getting into some shadow. Ta-da. Grab your natural tuning screwdriver and just push it out the way. From there, voila. The entire front model. We're probably going to need that connector piece, but I'm going to set this over here. Okay, from there, there's your servo right there. So next step, I put the nose on a stand just so it's easier for me. Grab your 2 mil is going to take off your radio cover. Act like I know what I'm doing. It's actually 2.5 mil. from there, that entire cover will just slide forward. Take your radio box cover, get your waterproof pass-through, and you gotta be careful because you do have an antenna sticking in there. Pop the antenna out. Get her out of the way, and realize that obviously channel 1 is going to be steering. Now the funny thing with these Traxxas receivers, your channel 1 is almost always going to have 2 channel 1s on a TQI. Why? Because your Nitro Revo, your Electric Revo, and a few others, they run 2 steering servos. When you're running 2 steering servos, Traxxas never used a splitter. They just gave you 2 steering channels. Okay, so once you got your servo wire fished in, it's simple as 3 2.5 mils, and that servo pops right out. And next thing you know, voila, your 2085X servo is out. All right, guys, from there, open up your box, grab your servo. Now, this is the key fulcrum. Bought this a couple years ago, never used it. I bought this in a Perfect Pass. I put the Perfect Pass XMaxx servo into another XMaxx that was a psycho build. It was a Max 5 G2 800, Vitavon mounts, a lot of good stuff. But check it out, guys. These guys even got the length of the servo wire right, so you're not dealing with all that crap. So next step, fish your servo wire through the little slot. Kind of reach through the bottom. Pull it through to keep it nice and tight. Drop her in the hole. And once she's fully seated, get your screws back in. I know a lot of guys, well, I only run these things down hand tight, or you know, I only go halfway and then I run the rest down with a hand wrench. Not this guy. I've been doing it long enough to know what it sounds like. All right, next step, which I do believe is going to be a 2 mil. Yep, go and get your servo horn off. Now this has already got the upgraded servo horns, because if you've been playing with XMaxxes long enough, realize these little pieces used to be single plastic, and they would pull one direction, they would worm the other one, and would lose your steering. Okay, so that's off. Lay your servo off to the side. From there, guys, just fish it through your waterproof housing. Look at your gray wire, that's going to be a power wire, and realize on the TQI, your black wire always goes to the right. I do it gently with needle nose. Now here comes an important part coming up. All right, guys, your next step's crucial. Lay your batteries up here, turn your transmitter on, get her plugged in, turn it on. Most importantly, you got the front end off. This thing, the cush drives in the rear with the motor. Do not touch the throttle. The whole idea of this is you're going to get that servo thing centered. Once you got it centered, which means if you don't want to do this twice, you better make sure that servo's in the neutral position. Unplug your batteries, get them out the way. And then from there, your servo horn mounts straight up. So you want that servo horn up there, straight up and down. If you don't get it straight up and down, you're gonna be doing it twice. And nobody wants to do it twice. All right, guys, from there, turn your horn to the right of the truck. And what that does, it just lays it off to the side so you can get to it later. Grab your front module, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna take her. There's gonna be a little slot right here. Put it into the top, and gently slide her back in. When you get her close, spin your tires a few times. Done. You are back in. So from there, grab your 2.5 mil again, your 4 long screws go to the outside. I'm just going to put these in to hold it so we can flip it. So from there, we can go ahead and get the stand out of the way. We don't need her anymore. Get her back on her back. We can start reassembling everything in the front, which is really going to be not a whole lot of nothing. Put the bumper back on, which is about easy. We're just going to get 2 screws in that. Get your spine back on. 8 screws in that. Alright guys, so let's get her back on her feet. Everything's fairly tight there. Got a couple more screws on the top we got to get to. Then we can have the fun of hooking up the steering link piece. That is generally the most fiddliest thing you'll ever do in this world on XMaxx, but it's not bad. It's just a matter of getting in the right spot. Sometimes you can use a pick. You got to do what you got to do. I already put that one in earlier, but just to hold her all together. All right, guys, I'm going to get this radio box back on, and then we're going to get that link on. All right, guys, so let's see if this made any type of a difference. Plugged in, radio's on. Green light. And we are only going to be limited now by our servo saver. Now it's raining out right now, so I can't get this thing out on the, tires on the pavement. But guys, nice simple upgrade. Make your XMaxx, make your monster truck, make your Bigfoot all it can be.